Hi. Hey everyone. My name's David and I am a part-time reseller on apps like Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, and Depop. And I'm going to be going over what sold over the prior week. And I like to think of it as my items. Where are they now? Um, so I will go through the different items, the platform that I sold them on, how much I sold for, how much I invested into that piece. But of course, always make sure that you are making your own informed decision on what you're purchasing, because ideally everyone wants to see a return on investment, and even some of the best of us still have stuff that sits for months and months and months and months and doesn't sell for anything near what we originally wanted. So let's start off with Saturday. So Saturday, November 19th, I had 2 Poshmark sales and 1 eBay sale. I'm hoping to, if I am able to figure this out, post-editing, get an image right here of what I sold or a screenshot or something. But the first item that sold on Poshmark was a pair of BKE denim Jake's straight leg jeans size 34. So they sold for $42. After Poshmark's fees, I get $33.60. And my total profit, I had about $7.99 into that item since I purchased it at Goodwill. And so I made a profit of $25.61. I don't know how many millions of times I've passed on BKE jeans, but apparently they're one to watch. I heard other resellers talking about it. I checked the sell-through rate on eBay for this particular style, which I think is very important when picking up BKE and probably anything, to be honest. But it was worth it. I'll keep an eye out for future ones. The next thing to sell was on Poshmark as well. It's a Levi's wedgie straight jeans in Luxor Lanes, size 27. They sold for $30, and they were an offer that was sent to me. I think I had them listed at like $35, so totally fine. And so after Poshmark's fees, I get $24. I had about $7.99 into those as well. From Goodwill, so my profit on those jeans is $16.01. Wedgie, ribcage are usually good styles to go for, especially if it's a straight or wider legs. The other sale that I had today was on eBay. On eBay I had a great sale. It was a pair of Hoka 1-1 Tour Ultra High WP. I'm not sure what that meant, but it's a hiking boot kind of sneaker with Vibram soles. They sold for $110. That was an offer sent to me by a watcher. I think I had them listed at about $150. And I had purchased these for $25 at a flea market. But the treads were in great condition and they had Vibram soles. The comps on eBay were about $150 to $250. So I probably could have gotten more, but you know, I prefer a bird in the hand versus the ones in the bush. But something to also note about Hoka, I find them extremely hard to come across just because I think it just says how much people really like that brand. Because Hoka, whenever I do find them at Goodwill or any of my regular shops, they have awful treads. Like, they have been worn to bits and they have like toe holes and everything. So I think it really says how much people like them. They keep them until they are falling apart, at which point they then decide to donate them to Goodwill, and there's really not much resale value left in them. So always check the treads, make sure there's no separation and that there's no holes. But really great sale for that one. On Sunday, November 20th, I had 1 Poshmark sale and 1 eBay sale. On Poshmark, I sold a pair of Crocs Black Cypress 4 heels, size 10. They sold for $40. That was my full asking price, and I had, after Poshmark's fees, that drops down to $32, so I had about a $22 profit. I probably spent about $9.99 on them at Family Thrift Center, and I did have those for a while. They sat for probably a little bit under a year. I had them for a pretty good amount of time. On eBay that same day, I had another sale. It was a really great sale, and by a brand that I'm absolutely crazy about. It is Filson. So a lot of resellers love Filson. Filson is sort of an outdoors hunting lifestyle brand. And this particular item was a travel vest, and it was a size large, which is a great size. And it sold for $100. That was an offer. I believe I had it priced at $150, and that's just because I saw that comps for it were incredible, just like $150, $200 even. This one had like a bit of wear around the collar, which I made sure to, of course, disclose in my listing. But I picked it up for about $10 at Goodwill. This does appear to be a brand that they're not terribly on top of, just because I do seem to find it from time to time. But it's almost always a slam dunk, just because I don't have any Filson currently in stock. All of my Filson is gone, and I've found quite a few pieces. And even if they are slightly damaged, you could still sell them for a pretty penny, just because they last for a long time and they have a very dedicated fan base. They really see them as a high quality product. I had a great exchange with the customer on this one. They sent me an offer for $100, and he said that he already had one that he had had for 20 years. That was in this same style, but that it worn away at the collar, and he said, I think 100 would be fair, and it would cost less than having mine repaired. And I like the idea of someone who's going to really put it to use, getting it as well, so I was happy to accept that offer. On Monday, November 21st, I had four Poshmark sales. The first was this vintage black lace vest T-length dress, size small. It sold for $45. I believe that was an offer from FLYP. After Poshmark's fees, I received a amount of $34.28, and my profit on that is $28.28. I picked it up at Goodwill. I think it was about $7.99. And I picked this one up exclusively on style. You kind of have to have a very careful eye for these kinds of things, but this struck me as very goth, very witchcore. I made sure to include those in my listings. I would have sworn this was going to sell on Depop, but every once in a while something sells on Poshmark that you intend for Depop. I personally don't really care as long as it sells, right? The next item to sell was on Poshmark it was an Aloe Yoga large shopper tote. And they retail, I think, for about $40 or $45. And I actually happened to find 3 of them at Goodwill, priced at about $4.99 each, 2 of which were new with tags. So that was an easy, obvious pickup, just because they do sell very consistently, very well. So after Poshmark's fees, I received $28. I had about $4.99 into them, so that leaves me with a profit of about $23. The next thing to sell on Poshmark was this Severe Nature Black Dog Harness t-shirt. It sold for $18. That was an offer from a liker. After Poshmark's fees, I received $14.40. My profit on that was $8.40. I purchased it at Goodwill, so that means the t-shirt was probably about $5.99. I actually bought this for myself. It reminded me a lot of those Givenchy dog t-shirts that they had a while back. And it was like a very sort of heavyweight cotton, which felt really nice, but I just never wore it, and I guess didn't really care for it enough. So I have a tendency to sometimes just list things that I don't wear that much in my closet, and I figure if someone eventually comes along and sends an offer, I'll just part with it. It's a good thing to kind of keep my clothing hoarding down a bit. The next thing to sell on Poshmark was Peloton cycling shoes, no cleats, size 9. It sold for my full asking price of $75. So after Poshmark's fees, that's $60 that I get. I had $9.99 into them from Goodwill, so I made about a $50 profit. Totally worth it. If I ever see them again, we'll make sure to pick up. On Tuesday, I had 3 Poshmark sales, 3 eBay sales, and 1 Depop sale. So let's start with Poshmark. My first sale was a Legence Rocky high-rise cigarette jeans, size 30, new with tags. I had them listed for $150, but I accepted an offer for $127. After Poshmark's fees, that leaves me with $101.60. And I had about $30 into them because they were in the Goodwill boutique section. But they were new with tags, so I do receive a profit of $71.60. Sometimes you have to be very careful with sort of the style of this jean, but taking a look at this particular style, I knew that it was on trend and I thought it could do well, and it might not move immediately, but I knew that it would sell eventually. I think I had those for a little over a week. So sometimes don't be afraid of the boutique section, just be very thorough with your research. The next thing to sell on Poshmark was a pair of Tommy Jeans denim zip-up boiler suit. I guess not a pair, but it's basically a jumpsuit. And this struck me because it was very sort of Y2K, and jumpsuits are a great sort of staple when it comes to the fall, winter season. And so they sold for $50, which was my full asking price. And after Poshmark fees, that's about $40 that I receive, and my profit is about $32. They charged it as a dress for whatever reason at Goodwill, so that was $7.99. The last thing to sell on Poshmark on Tuesday was a J. Crew schoolboy blazer camel. J. Crew is a great brand, particularly with blazers and outerwear, as any reseller will tell you. And the schoolboy blazers are probably some of the best blazers that you can buy when it comes to J. Crew. People really like them, they really trust the brand, they like the quality, they like the fit. Something I didn't really care for about this one, it was in pretty used condition, it had a lot of pilling. I made sure to disclose that. And it was a size 00. So teeny tiny little blazer. But I knew that it would eventually sell, so I took the gamble. I think I had listed at about 35. I received an offer for 27 and I took it. That was totally fair. After Poshmark's fees, that is $21.60 that I get. I had about $9.99 into it from Goodwill, so I received a profit on that item of $11.60. The next platform that I sold on Tuesday for was Depop. The only sale I had that day was a vintage Y2K Marc Jacobs Sailor Capri Pants size 4. They sold for my full asking price of $60. On Depop, I do offer free shipping. That appears to be a very big thing when it comes to being successful at Depop. After you account for Depop's fees and the cost of shipping, I made roughly $44. And after I account for my cost of goods, this item was marked up by Goodwill at their boutique section for $14.99. So I made about $28.99 in profit. Marc by Marc Jacobs, you do have to be very careful about. I'd say even regular Marc Jacobs, any Marc Jacobs you have to be mindful of. It's going to be very style dependent, and you have to be mindful of the size as well. It reminded me very much of something that like Carrie Bradshaw would have worn on Sex and the City. Very Y2K. I liked it a lot. So I picked it up, I was willing to take a chance on it, and it paid off. On eBay that day, I had my most sales of the week for eBay. I had 3 sales on the Tuesday the 22nd. So the first sale was Universal Works Military Relaxed Chino Pant, size 36. I received an offer for $40. I had them listed at $50, and I accepted that. I had about $7.99 into them from Goodwill. I checked this brand just because I wasn't familiar with it at all, and it had a very good sell-through rate, and it was pretty expensive retail. So one of those brands where they make like a lot of pieces that seem very minimalist and simple, but that they're actually very quality made and kind of expensive. The other thing that sold on eBay was a vintage Pioneer Wear 80s military western velvet collar jacket. I had this listed at $50. I accepted an offer for $35. I think I had about $10 into it at Goodwill, $9.99. And I picked it up solely for the style. It was very 80s, and it reminded me of sort of some of those 80s western wear brands like Gunny Sacks or Jessica McClintock. So I thought it'd be worth it. and it was. The last thing to sell for Tuesday on eBay was a US Military Navy 13 button uniform pants. They were new with tag and they were a size 38. I received an offer for 45. I had them listed at 50, and I purchased them for $6 at the Salvation Army. They apparently this style of pant has a very good sell-through rate, and there are people out there, a very dedicated fan base for military wear. So it's a good thing to check comps for. On Wednesday, November 23rd, I only had one Poshmark sale and no other platforms. Sometimes these days happen. I sold a COS green scuba hoodie. Scuba is a type of material that it's made out of, and this was actually from my personal collection. I purchased it from COS on sale. COS is owned by H&M, but they make clothes that are a little bit more inclined towards luxury. Usually finer materials, finer construction, and a much bigger price tag. I purchased them on sale. I think I spent about $50 on them. They sold on Poshmark for $55. That was an offer I received. I had them listed at $60. And so after you account for Poshmark's fees, I received $44. And since I purchased them myself, I wore them for I'd say probably 5 or 6 times. I think I would consider that all profit, considering it was from my personal collection and I had already worn it. So $44 profit, not bad for something I used myself. Thursday, on the 24th of November, I had 5 Poshmark sales and 1 Depop sale. My first Poshmark sale was a pair of Alice and Olivia green lamb leather shorts size 14. These I received an offer for $100. I had them listed at $150, but I accepted the offer of $100. After Poshmark's fees, I received $80, and my profit on those is $55. The reason being because I paid $24.99 for them at Goodwill. They had them in the boutique section, but taking a look at the material, the style, the size, they were 100% lamb leather, and they were a great color for the season. They would look phenomenal with tights on like a big chunky sweater. I was willing to invest that into them. You do have to be careful with the brand Alice and Olivia because it retails for a bunch, but it's all over the board when it comes to how much the resale value is. But certain pieces can command a lot of money, so very style dependent. Make sure to use Google Lens in order to see if you have a piece on your hand that might be worth something. The next item to sell was a Banana Republic Italian wool blazer. It was a size 14, and I received an offer for $37. I had it listed at $50, $37, I accepted it. And after Poshmark's fees, I received $29.60, and I had $9.99 into them, so that means that I received a profit of $19.60. The next thing to sell on Poshmark was a pair of 34 Heritage Charisma straight leg pants new with tags, size 38. They sold for $35. That was an offer from a liker. I had them listed at $60. After Poshmark's fees, I received $28. My profit on those is about $24.50, just because they were about $3.50 at the Salvation Army thrift store. And I saw that this brand, which I'm not familiar with at all, had a high sell-through rate for this particular style, the Charisma pant, and I had those for probably about a week, so very fast turnaround. The next thing to sell was a Jill Saunders white wrap detail shirt. This sold for $30. I had them listed at $60, but after Poshmark's fees, I received $24, and I profited about $18. It was about $5.99 at Goodwill. I had it forever. This was a really cool shirt, and Jill Saunders is a luxury designer, but it did have some yellowing at the collar. The last thing to sell for Poshmark on Wednesday was a pair of We The Free high-rise destroyed tapered boyfriend jeans, new with tag. They sold for $55. I had them listed at $70, but accepted an offer. And after Poshmark's fees, I get $42.28. And my profit on those was $27.29. This was also from the boutique section of Goodwill. They were listed at $14.99. The next sale I had was on Depop for that day, and it is this vintage 60s mod belted A-line dress. It sold for $60, which was my full asking price with free shipping. After you account for the cost to ship the item and Depop fees, I get about $41.84, and my profit on that was $39.03. I bought this at a family thrift center outlet. I thought it was a really cool dress. It reminds me a lot of I grew up reading Archie comics and like Sabrina comics, and I could totally imagine like an Archie comics, like 60s style Betty and Veronica or Sabrina wearing this type of dress. I liked it a lot. On Friday the 25th, I had one Depop sale, one eBay sale, and goose egg Poshmark sales. Those days happen too. On Depop, I had a sale for the vintage black oversized leather blazer. It sold for $90. My asking price was $125, but I accepted an offer. That is with free shipping. So after you account for shipping and Depop fees, I received $67.82. My profit on that was about $57.82 because I purchased it at Goodwill, and I believe it was about $9.99. Leather blazers can do well. You just have to be mindful of sort of the style. If they have like really big shoulder pads or something, you definitely want to list that. And what I also like to do with these types of things is, apart from taking photos of the item on my mannequin, I will also I will also just grab a random sort of street style inspiration pic, and I'll make sure to outline in my listing that the picture is just for reference. There are photos of the mannequin for real reference of what the item looks like. But so far that appears to strike interest because people like things like vintage leather blazers. On eBay, I had a sale for Southern Gents Burgundy double-breasted wool blend winter coat. This sold for $100. I had listed at $150. I accepted an offer for $100. And I had about $15 into it from Goodwill. I took a chance on this item just because this is a really obscure label, and it's a beautiful color. It photographs well. This is an item that people definitely tend to look for in the winter seasons, especially towards the holidays. It'll look great at a holiday party with something simple like a turtleneck, even in this color. And it sold in under a week. On Saturday, the 26th, I had one Poshmark and one eBay. On Poshmark, I sold an Air Jordan Paris Saint Germain popover hoodie size large. And that sold for $63. And it was an offer. I believe I had it listed at $80. So after Poshmark's fees, I received $50.40. And my profit on that is about $42. I picked it up at Goodwill. It was about $7.99. On eBay, I had one sale. It was a True Religion Ricky Flat Pocket straight jeans in the color black, size 38. They sold for $49, which was my full asking price, and about $10 shipping. And I had about $7.99 into them. I picked them up at Goodwill. You do want to be very mindful when it comes to True Religion. It's not really the brand that it used to be in the 2000s. But I saw that this particular color of jean, this particular size of men's jean, did have a decent sell-through rate. I probably had these for maybe a month or two. So let's do a grand tally. On Poshmark, I made a total of $874 in terms of revenue. After fees for Poshmark, I received $687.76. The cost of goods for the items that I sold were about $170.36, and so my profit on Poshmark for this week is $517.40. Pretty good. On Depop, my total revenue was $210. After you account for the fees and the cost to ship the item, since I do offer free shipping on Depop, I received $153.66. My cost of goods sold on that app are $27.23, so my profit for Depop for the week is $126.43. For eBay, my total revenue was $479. eBay, I don't have an exact number for when it comes to what my profit is, but I'm gonna sort of overestimate and just account for 20%. So we'll say that 20% was $383.92 is what I would be left with after taking out 20%. My cost of goods sold for those items was $82.45, so my profit would have been about $301.47 for eBay. You might be wondering, what about Mercari? Mercari is hit and miss for me. Very similar to Depop. This week has been a bit strange with Depop. I've had 3 sales. I usually have just 1 or 2. But Mercari, I'd say, is exactly the same way. It just kind of happens when it happens. My total revenue for the week is $1,553. My total after accounting for fees from all the different platforms is $1,225.34. My cost of goods for all items sold this week is $280.04, and so my net profit for the week is $945.30. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this is my first time kind of outlining everything, and I'm glad that I'm doing this just because this is obviously something that every proper reseller should be doing as well, in terms of annotating how much have you made, how much have you spent, and really allocating for it. And I'm hoping that this will make me a lot better about that. But I'm satisfied with the number that I reached at the end of the week. But I thank you so much for any of you who happened to stick around for the video and watch until the end. This is my 2nd video on this channel. I'm hoping to continue to release videos on a weekly basis. But if you have anything that you have for suggestions, things that you think weren't done very well or that I could improve on, please feel free to leave a comment below. Like, share, comment, subscribe, whatever you can do. I swear it does help this video a lot. And I hope you have a happy sales week.